Welcome. Turn my computer sound off. Into yet another week of Kings Weekly. My name is Chris Watkins. I could not join you last week because, I was sick, frankly, and didn't want to, spread those infectious diseases or anything like that. So took the week off, and I knew that we would have this road trip to talk about anyway. So it's all good. I think it's going to work out fine. And that just means that today we have an absolutely loaded show. As you can tell, we are not doing things normally this week. Sorry for the delay there. We had some little technical difficulties we had to deal with because I hear that we're broadcasting some football game on our airwaves today, Vikings, Colts or something like that. I don't know. I don't really follow football like that. So, I have no idea anything about that. Definitely not the Vikings losing 30-0 with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. That's definitely not going on right now as we do the show. Sorry, I'm going to try and stay focused on this, but this might become Vikings Weekly in a minute here. Anyway, as I breathe. Yes, so the Sacramento Kings last night concluded their 6-game road trip. It was a brutal road trip. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Milwaukee, Cleveland, Philadelphia. I'm sorry, I skipped New York there. New York, Philadelphia, Toronto, and then ended it last night in Detroit. The Kings finished the road trip 3-3. I said a couple weeks ago that would be that's a win for me. And I think looking back at it, absolutely was a win of a road trip. Very tough opponents that the Kings faced on the road trip. And for them to come 500 out of that, I think is totally fine. It didn't happen exactly how we expected it to happen. I said that I was expecting them to beat the Knicks. Who did I say? I said the Knicks. I think I said 2-4 on the trip was my projection. It was the Knicks in Detroit, and I thought they would lose everywhere else. For them to pick up that win against Cleveland was big. For them to pick up that win against Toronto was huge. And then Detroit was just taking care of business. On today's show, I will not be solo. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bring him in right now. He's been waiting patiently in this waiting room for me. My Return of the Roar co-host, Sacktown Sports Kings Insider. Let's bring him in here, Frankie Cardicelli. Frank, welcome on to the show.
Hello.
How you doing, bud?
What an entrance. That was quite the presentation. I know the Vikings are hurting you right now, but
I'm really, really trying not to focus on, well, at least they've made it easy. If this was a close game, it might actually be worse, but the fact that it's 30-0.
I told you off the air that I picked them up in my fantasy playoffs, their defense this week. So that was a smart decision on my part.
I would have told you not to do that. Absolutely. The Vikings defense is the reason. They're frauds. They're just absolute frauds.
They have 1 point right now. So.
Well, that's one more than they have in real life. So, Frank, your thoughts on the road trip? I think you and I talked before, and you kind of had a similar mindset that 2-4 is kind of what they should do, and then anything above that was kind of gravy. Do you still feel that way after the conclusion and how it all played out?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, when you look at what the road trip was like for this team a year ago, their East Coast road trip, they went 0-5. So, I mean, taking one game, that's a step forward. But I think when you look at a 6-game road trip, 2-4 with the Sacramento Kings, just based on who they have been, would have been great. And the fact that they left 4 games above 500, they come back 4 games above 500 with the favorable, quote unquote, favorable schedule coming up, 6 in a row at home. They took care of business on the road. I mean, they had a couple of games there that got away from them, but in each of those games, you can kind of pinpoint where things went wrong, and they didn't get completely beat down outside of that 76ers game. And there's even a couple things from that 76ers game that were a little encouraging to me, at least. But I think when you come home, you didn't lose any ground. You are in the thick of the race. You're 5th in the Western Conference as of this morning, which is ridiculous. They have 15 wins. They're halfway to last year's win total. It's something you can hang your hat on. So I'm feeling pretty good after the road trip. How about you? Are your spirits high, or are you in the middle?
I just lifted my chair. That's how high I am on this road trip. It was a great road trip in my opinion. I mean, it definitely could have been better. I think when they looked bad, they looked really bad, but that's something that I've been, the Celtics game definitely pointed that out very clearly, but I think this team really struggles against top tier opponents. we've seen them struggle, except for honestly, Phoenix was the best performance that they've had against a top tier team. They really haven't had to play some of the better teams in the West besides Memphis. But they really struggled against why am I drawing a blank here? Against Milwaukee, the first game of this road trip, and then we saw them really struggle as well against Philadelphia. It's just I don't know. That's the one thing that really stuck out to me in terms of disappointment. But I think from what I took out of it was that these guys are legitimately good. The fact that, like you said, last year they go 1-5 on their East Coast road trip. This year to go 3-3 against really, really, like, this was top tier Eastern Conference opponents. This wasn't a sprinkling of some tough opponents and then sprinkling in your Charlottes and your Detroits, even though they did end with Detroit. Like, this was a legitimately tough road trip. And for them to go 3-3 at this point in the season where, things could have fallen off here and they could have been right back at 500 and, in that play-in race and having to battle back for the rest of the season. But the fact that they're gaining some cushion, and like you said, they do have you know what? I'm not even going to put it in air quotes. I'm comfortable saying they have a soft homestand coming up where they should legitimately take down all of these teams and they can get, an even comfier cushion in the standings as well. Sorry.
I mean, I agree. And to me, on the road trip, like the road trip, the worst loss to me, I mean, Philly is a good team, but the Knicks, I think we could say maybe was the worst loss. And
absolutely.
I mean, when you look at what happened in that game, Julius Randle going for 17 in the first quarter, the Kings get outscored 36-22. Rest of the game, the Kings outscored the Knicks 77-76. I mean, when you have a loss like that, I think it makes you feel, I don't want to say encouraged, because you don't want to feel encouraged about losing to the New York Knicks. I mean, getting beat the way you did, but the way they responded by outscoring in the final three quarters, by having a defensive rating of 93 during the second half, they tried to fight their way back into the game. The offense was not on that evening. The Kings had a couple of rough nights of the offense, but when you look at the last two games and how they have pulled themselves out of that funk, they had a great game last night in Detroit. The assists were back above 30. They're, I think, 8-1 this season, or 7-1 when they have 30 assists or more. The assists are huge to me too, because the Kings last season had 8 games with 30 assists, over 82 games. This season, they have 8 games with 30 assists, and we are only in December. So some encouraging things from the offense, some encouraging things from the end of the road trip. And even though there are a couple of bad ones in there, they finished strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I am so incredibly impressed with that win in Toronto. That was the last game that I anticipated them to win. And for them, I think, they're the best. They're at their best when the ball is moving, just like a lot of teams in the NBA. It turns out that if you move the ball, you get open shots. And to me, that's the type of win that the King that shows to me how good this team is. I mean, there's just no reason for them to be winning that game, especially after how they came out against Philadelphia. I want to talk about here. I have in my notes that the Kings offense, with the exception of last night, really has really struggled on the road. And we saw that. You talked about it a little bit on this road trip. They struggled offensively against against the Knicks and against Philadelphia as well. There's a 10-point difference from their home and away split in terms of points per game. They average 123 points per game at home and 113 on the road. That's a really, really big difference. What do you think it is that, is there any way you could fix that? Is that just, you see unfamiliar rims and for whatever reason, it just doesn't fall? Like, they also have lower assist numbers. They're shooting lower percentages from the field. What do you think that's about?
I mean, I think it comes to experience. I mean, it comes down to this team getting comfortable with each other, and at home, obviously, they feel. I mean, like I said, it's home. They feel completely in place. They feel comfortable. The Kings, the atmosphere at those Kings games. I mean, you've seen it firsthand how incredible it's been this year. Unlike anything I've seen over the years I've been working for the team or covering them, this is the best that it's been. And I think when you have that behind you, it just has a lot of push behind those sails. And when you're on the road, obviously you have to learn good teams have to win on the road. The Kings are 8-8 on the road right now, which I think is the third most wins, road wins in the Western Conference, which is crazy to me. They won 14 road games last season. So it's going to come down to, can this team be a problem on the road? Can they learn how to have what they have on the home floor at Golden One Center? Can they bring that with them on the plane when they go on these long road trips? But it's not like a clear-cut answer, I guess. I mean, some nights they're gonna tear apart somebody on their own home floor, and sometimes they're gonna have what we saw in Philadelphia. But the fact that the Kings are more times than not competing, responding, or when they are getting beat down, like they did when they were getting beat down by the Raptors early on Wednesday night, they responded. So that to me is huge. It's a huge sign that this team is a good team. 8-8 through 16 games on the road. I don't think I had that on my Kings bingo board. So that's an ideal start for me.
Yes. Should mention here, Kings Weekly, myself, Chris Watkins, Frankie Cardicelli joining me. We are online only this week. They are broadcasting Minnesota Vikings games. This will be commercial free. There will be no breaks, no nothing. So hop in this YouTube live stream, hang out with us, talk some Kings. Feel free to put things in the comment section. We'll definitely make sure to acknowledge and maybe do a little Q&A at the end of this thing. Frank, I want to talk about something. Sorry. The other week, not the Sacramento Kings, the NBA announced that they will be naming all of their awards, the MVP trophy, Sixth Man of the Year, Coach of the Year, all that stuff is getting named after iconic players in NBA history. You have I don't think they've given out Coach or Executive of the Year names, but there's the Michael Jordan MVP trophy. I believe it's the Wilt Chamberlain Rookie of the Year, Jerry West Clutch Player of the Year, all that stuff. That got me thinking, and I have actually been thinking about this since the preseason. It felt like there was going to be a good chance that the Kings were going to have some people in awards races. I think, surprisingly, the Kings have a pretty good shot at getting one, at least, award at the end of the season. I wanted to go through some of the awards that I feel like the Kings are in front line for. I'm going to start with where I feel like it's least likely that they're going to win, and I just want to get your thoughts on just the percentage chance that you give and your thoughts on the award and how it's going. And it's just kind of an avenue to broadly talk about these guys. Coach of the Year, I think Mike Brown. Like I said, they don't have a name for these awards yet. For the Coach of the Year or Executive of the Year. So at the moment, it's still Coach of the Year, maybe like the Red Auerbach Coach of the Year. Mike Brown, I think, absolutely has a shout for Coach of the Year at the end of this season. A lot of these awards are very narrative based. And, with Mike Brown turning around a Kings franchise that hasn't made the playoffs in 16 years, you see their offensive explosion, all the capabilities that they have there. If they continue to get better on the defensive end, the Sacramento Kings are one of the funnest stories so far this season. I think a lot of people have enjoyed the beam and all that stuff. And, as good as anybody that Mike Brown is a huge part of that. I think, is it likely he wins this award? Probably not, just because, the other contenders for this are Joe Mazzulla, who is in Boston and is coached that team up to the best record in the league. Also coming off of, we all know, the offseason scandal with Boston's coaching situation, for him to deal with all of that and come out and still have an incredible record and really come off losing a championship and really just take it in stride. It feels like Joe Mazzulla is kind of at the head of that. But what do you think about Mike Brown's chances for Coach of the Year? I mean, it is very early. This huge caveat, obviously, very early.
I mean, it's early, but the Kings have shown that they are on the trajectory for the postseason. I mean, I don't think that's a reach at all. Right now, they're on pace to shatter their last year's win total of 30. They're on pace to win, I think, 45 to 46 games. A lot can happen over the course of a season, but if this continues and the Kings do win 45, 46 games and they're a top 6 seed in the West, I think Mike Brown gets some serious consideration. And the fact that how well he is received in NBA circles, how much I think he might have some pull with around the league and around the voting. He's made an impact everywhere he's been. I mean, he comes from one of the greatest dynasties over the past couple of decades, the Golden State Warriors. He was the architect of that defense. And I think that that's going to speak volumes as far as what he's doing here in Sacramento. He's carrying on that positive track record. And if the Kings break a postseason drought, I mean, obviously people are already paying attention, but that's really going to bring some people in. If he can bring the Kings to not just the play-in, but the playoffs out of the gate, he's going to be up there. And yeah, like look, the other guys on the list, Will Hardy's done a good job.
Absolutely.
Can Utah sustain that? I don't know. Probably. Who knows? Willie Green, the Pelicans seem like they're not going anywhere. Yeah.
To me, those are exactly what I have written down here. Joe Mazzulla, Will Hardy, Willie Green, all guys that I feel like have their chance. Something I was hosting one of our recap shows the other day. Someone asked me this question. I'm very curious to think for your thoughts on it. Mike Brown is the best Kings coach since when?
Michael Malone. Which
right.
I mean, I think that it's a tough conversation, I guess, because we have to kind of rip off a Band-Aid. But I mean, you wonder where they would be if they kept Michael Malone, and I don't know if it would be. I mean, you don't know. I think I'd like to think it would be this point or better, but right. I mean, this is the best
earlier as
again.
Well.
But this is the best in my adult life I've ever seen from a coach of the Kings. But I mean, yeah, probably Mike Malone, right?
That was my answer. I mean, Rick is probably the answer if you're not going to go with Mike, but I think we should give a Dave Yeager probably deserves a decent shout. I think he was unceremoniously let go just because, I think personality wise with the team, it didn't quite fit. But, Dave, let's not forget, and, people obviously remember the score season, but that team wasn't very talented. When you really look back at the roster, it was a very young De'Aaron Fox. It was Willie Cauley-Stein, a young Buddy Hield. Iman Shumpert was on the team.
Bielitsa?
Was that a rookie Justin Jackson as well?
Come on.
No,
throwing JJ in there.
It was a second year Justin Jackson because that was Marvin's rookie year. I just think, Dave definitely deserves his flowers on that one. But I agree with you. I think the answer is Mike Malone. I mean, and that's kind of crazy that 20 games in, we can already say that. Like there's a good chance that Mike, not pound for pound is better than Mike Malone, but definitely when you're looking at the Sacramento tenure, will be viewed in a higher regard than Mike Malone could be at the end of the season. Who knows? Executive of the year is also, I think, do you feel like Monty has a better chance at executive of the year than Coach Mike does for Coach of the Year?
That's tough. I mean, I think so. I hope so. I mean, get this man's extension first of all. I mean,
right. I think first things first.
Pen on paper should happen. I mean, I know Sam Amick said a couple weeks ago on the morning show with Dave and Jason that it's a matter of time. He thinks it's a matter of time. He didn't say that was sourced or anything. He just said that he feels in his gut it's a matter of time. Mm-hmm. First of all, get that man locked in long term. I think they know it's coming. They know it's coming. But I mean, he'll be up there for sure. I mean, he swung a couple good deals. I mean, the Sabonis trade has been one of the more successful trades for both sides that I've maybe ever seen. I mean, I can't really think of one that's been successful for both sides. I mean, can you think of one that's been more like both teams really just making like bandits, like which doesn't really make sense, but they do. Like they both have won.
Unfortunately, bring it back to my Minnesota Vikings. Like the last deal that was like that was like the Stephon Diggs for Justin Jefferson trade, essentially. And this is to an extent, I mean, the NBA version of it, not quite as elite of talent, but I think definitely this is a situation where both teams win, and especially Monty McNair. And I think, even though that trade happened last year, I think the real impact is this season, obviously. And, not only that, but the Kevin Huerter deal for what he gave up to get Kevin Huerter was Mo Harkless, who wasn't getting minutes, Aaron Holiday, or is it Justin, which holiday did we have?
It was Justin Holiday. I know there's a lot of holidays now.
So many holidays. So. Gosh, I mean, can never have too many holidays. But Justin Holiday and a protected first round pick. If and to get Kevin Huerter in return for that is absolutely incredible. And then him signing Malik Monk to the mid-level exception as well. Like those are, if you're just talking about what a GM or an executive did this season to make their team better, or this offseason to make them team better, I'm not really sure that there's many other contenders. You see Kobe Altman, who obviously brought in Donovan Mitchell in the offseason, had to give up a huge amount of stuff for that. He probably gets a shout. Danny Ainge, you could argue, is probably the favorite right now for him getting
Yeah.
7 first-round draft picks, 3 pick swaps.
Why do people do this? Why do they let Danny Ainge get away with this stuff?
He can't keep getting away with this.
Get away with it.
Shout out Breaking Bad. And for him to get essentially 10 first-round draft picks and still have a 17-14 record and the Will Hardy hire, I mean, I don't think you can have a better offseason than that. So I think Danny Ainge is probably the front runner there.
Yeah, I mean, his name for sure is going to carry some weight, and the fact that he did help build a contending team in Boston, and he was the architect behind that Celtics championship caliber team that went to Game 6 of the finals, and he just said, "Okay, I'm out," and now he's gone to Utah, and we thought they were going to be a bottom feeder, and I was watching the game the other night against the Pelicans, and they're packing that stadium there in Salt Lake City, and fans are excited. They have names. I mean, they have guys. I mean, Jordan Clarkson dropped 45 points, I think, which I don't think I've ever seen that or will see that again. But Lauri Markkanen, I mean, they have guys. They have Colin Sexton. They have players that can beat you every night.
Mm-hmm.
So Danny Ainge is going to be up there. But the Kings are the same thing. The Kings, Monty McNair drafted Keegan Murray, which I know we're going to talk about him later.
Yep.
Brought in Kevin Huerter, who's been one of the better shooters in the NBA this season. Brought in Malik Monk, who's been a huge positive off the bench. And obviously, the Sabonis trades, Domantas Sabonis is playing like an all-star center. So he's pulled his own weight. But yeah, I mean, when you go up against Danny Ainge, you might lose that battle just because of the fact that it's Danny Ainge.
Monty McNair, look at me right now, Monty. Do not make any moves with Danny Ainge. He's gonna win. He's
dangerous.
It's
dangerous.
The man is dangerous. Like you cannot just don't deal with him. It's fine. I don't know why people keep giving Danny Ainge what he wants. Here we go. This is the first one that's actually the NBA had announced a name for the trophy. The John Havlicek, 6th man of the year. Do I have to take my shoe off right now and put it on the table?
Yes,
Malik Monk.
There it is.
I think Malik Monk has a real shot at winning 6th man of the year.
We need
6th man of the year.
We need Brendan Sox to really bring this all together.
Right.
We need Brendan Sox.
Right. It's not official without Brendan Sox, because for those who have not seen Brendan does not change his socks. Malik Monk so far this season is averaging 15, just under 15 points off the bench, 14.9. It actually might have jumped to 15 after last night's performance. I did not update that number. 14.9 points per game, 3.8 assists per game, shooting 46% from the field, 35% from 3. This one, I actually think Malik is pretty firmly in the top 3 of this award, and just kind of the play throughout the rest of the season is gonna bear out who actually wins. Some other contenders are Benedict Mathurin from the Indiana Pacers. That rookie is averaging 18 points per game off the bench. He's only started 1 game this season. That could maybe change in the second half. Russell Westbrook, who had a triple-double last night. He just doing Russell Westbrook things. 15 points off the bench, just under 8 assists coming off the bench. Only has 3 starts for the Lakers this year. Malcolm Brogdon, just under 14 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists off the bench, shooting 50% from the field. Leads the NBA in 3-point shooting percentage, 48.4% from 3 for Malcolm Brogdon. And also I have Christian Wood in here, 16.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, 54% from the field, 41% from the line for Christian Wood. So there are definitely some real contenders here for this award. I think it feels like, standings should play a little bit of a factor into this. I don't know if the Lakers end up 15, 20 games under 500. I don't know if Russell Westbrook should be winning any 6th man of the year awards. Benedict Mathurin could be another one where, I don't know if he gets the starts or if Indiana is gonna kind of fall off at the end of the year, which I actually don't think they will. But how do you feel about Malik Monk's John Havlicek 6th man of the year award chances?
John Havlicek. I do think that it's going to come down to who is in the best position come playoff time. That's usually how the 6th man of the year award goes in most years. More times than not, it goes to the team that's the best place in the standings. But if the Kings are a top 6, top 7 team in the West, I think he'll get some serious consideration. If the Lakers are not in the play-in or playoff picture, I think you can count off Westbrook. I think you can count out Benedict Mathurin if the Pacers are not contending, unless this continues. If Benedict Mathurin averages 20 points per game off the bench as a rookie, he's going to get some attention. Maybe he squeezes into that conversation. But to me, it comes down to Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon, I think it's his award to lose right now. If the Boston Celtics continue what they're doing and he continues to shoot the lights out like he's doing right now and post these numbers off 14, 4, and 4 off the bench. That's going to get you 6th man of the year with 50% from 3-point. So it's Malcolm Brogdon to lose right now. If the Kings make a late push, I think Malik Monk could be considered for it. I think he'll get some votes. But if we have to talk about the likeliness of it, I wouldn't say it's a likely scenario, especially not with how just Brogdon's playing and some other teams that could emerge and some other bench pieces, but you never know.
I'm looking at the television right now, and it is halftime, and
let's get an update.
The Minnesota Vikings are down 33-0.
I literally benched the Colts defense for my playoff game. I have no words.
The Indianapolis Colts are 4-8-1 on the season. The Minnesota Vikings are 10-3. They are frauds. I've been saying this for weeks.
Wait a minute. Doesn't this mean if the Vikings lose, the Niners can have a better chance of getting
Frank? Not now.
I'm just asking a question. I don't know these things. You're the football mind. I'm sure we have some Niner fans in the chat that can
Nate is quite literally wearing a 49ers sweatshirt.
It's a good question to ask.
Do you know, Nate, if the Vikings lose today?
Yes, man. If the Vikings lose, which they also just showed that no team in NFL history has ever came back from a 30-point halftime deficit. So, if they lose, then, maybe just possibly we're not the number 2 seed and we're frauds.
Kirk's got it, though. Kirk's got it, and Justin Jefferson's out too, I think. So he's got it.
You say Jefferson's out?
I saw he got hurt. I don't know if he
non-primetime Kirk Cousins has got this in the bag.
All right, I hope everyone has enjoyed this stream. It's been fun. Actually, never in my life did I expect that the Sacramento Kings would be the sporting team that brought me the most happiness.
That was what I told you when the Yankees were getting swept by the Astros. I said, I can't believe that I'm taking solace in the fact that I'm enjoying the Kings right now. And I'm looking forward to the next game as we sat there in the Golden State Warriors media room. I said, this is very strange times, but I feel for you. I know
you do, Frank. I've been there for you in your time. You in that very same Golden State, in the tunnels of Golden State, we watched your Yankees die a slow death to the Astros. So
I sent a snap out and said, but we're having a funeral.
Hey, it's Nick Cattles, and you should start your
Nick Cattles, how's it going?
Napoleon Prestige line.
Cattles out of
California backyard. My Napoleon
stream,
Stainless Steel Pro Series gas grill is turning me into a
Shout out Nick Cattles. I did say that there would be no commercials.
It's ad time.
Holiday meal on a Napoleon gas grill.
Napoleon
grills are built to last. I'll tell you right now, all made with premium steel that boasts quality. Check out Napoleon Grills today at any of the 4 nearby California backyard locations. They're always the best in backyard living.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is nope, still going. Oh, we got a full break here. Hey, there we go. Ads are done.
Okay.
I always complain about not getting sponsorships, and I'm trying to get brand deals and stuff, and then it happens, and I'm complaining. I should have just let that play. Nick
for sure programmed that in on purpose. he threw that in.
Yeah, just had to get his 2 cents in. Where were we? We were talking about 6th man of the year. We wrap that one up. Here's another one. Very interesting. What do you think about this? I don't know if you have much input on Jerry West as a clutch player, but they obviously has the nickname Mr. Clutch, which I don't think is highly debated. But they named this is also a new award. The Jerry West Clutch Player of the Year is a new award that the NBA will give out this season. There is no criteria for this award, which to me is just asking for absolute chaos. Who knows? I don't know. I looked at. Go ahead.
I love the note you made. How the hell are they going to determine the criteria for this award? That was the note in the rundown. Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah,
that's a good question.
NBA.com has their clutch stats, And in the clutch stats, it's clutch time is defined as minutes when the scoring margin is within 5 with 5 or fewer minutes remaining in a game. So it's essentially close games down the stretch, and they start tracking your stats. Again, there is no defined criteria for this award. So, I don't know if it's going to be a vibes thing. Is this a vibes award? Is this what we're getting here?
I mean, I would imagine so. I mean, there's no hard stats to give it to. I don't know. I mean, is it going to be who has the most buzzer beaters or most late game, like less than 1 minute left or less than like go ahead or tying field goals? I mean, that's what clutch means, right?
That's doing a lot of tracking as well. Like I think the writers vote on this. Like, are you going to be like, oh, there's another one for Trae Young. He's got 6 on the year.
There are 46 seconds left, and he had a basket that tied the game, but then they lose the game on a 4-0 run. So does that still matter if it's a basket that ties or goes ahead with? So I don't know. I mean, that's very interesting to me.
I was looking at the clutch number, like the NBA.com clutch numbers, and I arrived at the very same question because DeMar DeRozan is almost like he has 71 points in the clutch right now. I think second place is like 65 and third is like 49 or something like that. So he's well above just about everybody else in terms of total clutch points. But his team is 3-10 in clutch situations. So, does that, is that defined as clutch still? If you're doing well, but your team loses, I have no idea. But doesn't matter. The point is, I think De'Aaron Fox has a great shot at winning this Jerry West Clutch Player of the Year award. He already has. I think NBA.com has released, they do like their NBA top 10 videos and stuff. They did one for buzzer beaters. De'Aaron Fox has the best buzzer beater of the season, the best game winner of the season so far this year with his half court shot in Orlando. He has been great in clutch situations so far this year. I will get to that, Tyler. I absolutely will get to that. He's been great in clutch situations all year. Really, for his entire career, we've been talking about how De'Aaron comes up in clutch moments. It's just the Kings have been bad and so haven't been in many moments for him to be clutch. But this is something he's been for his entire career. The game-winning dunk against Miami comes to mind. There was also a game winner in Golden One Center that I remember that you were in the tunnel for. I remember you and I always talk about. De'Aaron Fox is 5th in total points right now in the clutch. He is shooting 61% from the field in the clutch, which is, if you look at all the other top clutch scorers, I think there's only 2 in the top 15 that are shooting above 50%, and that is De'Aaron Fox at 61% and Jimmy Butler at 53%. So De'Aaron is an incredibly high percentage player in the clutch, also shooting 50% from 3 in the clutch, and is plus 21 in clutch minutes. So, the Kings are winning their clutch minutes when he is on the floor. And I mentioned the game winner as well. Other contenders I had, like I said, I don't really know how they're going to determine this, but Luka Doncic, 10-8 record in the clutch. He leads the NBA in clutch time assists with 16 and is 4th in points.
Don't talk about that, man. Don't talk about that, man.
Those situations.
Can I chime in real quick?
Please.
Yes, please.
This is Nate, by the way.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Nate. I just think there's the fact that they basically said it's an eye test in that description makes me think there's just no way De'Aaron Fox will win it. It's going to be guys like Trae Young, like Steph Curry. It's going to be the big names that they're going to give it who they want to give it to, and they're not going to want to give it to the Kings.
You're right. No, absolutely. Nailed it on the head. Absolutely. If Steph Curry comes back and they're fighting for the play-in spot because they're going to have a rough go when he's out, if he has a go-ahead field goal to put them in better position in the last week of the season, I mean, that puts him to the top of the line, in my opinion. Right. This is a total, it's time-sensitive, who is more clutch that week award to me. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know. We're going to see. But I'm very intrigued. I'm more intrigued about this award than any at this point. I would like to see who wins this one.
And to your point, Damian Lillard clearly deserved to have won this award if it existed in previous years. But all of his clutch moments are playoff moments.
In the playoffs. And these are regular season awards. These are regular season awards.
So how are you, I just don't know how they're ever going to determine, is this going to be who is the most clutch player who knows?
It could literally come down to one game. Like I'm thinking about Steph Curry's OKC game, 4 years ago.
Exactly.
That shot alone could have won him that award for the whole season.
You're 100%
so it's way too much of an eye test. Me and Dave were talking about it on his show this week, and just the parameters for this award are way too loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
And a guy like De'Aaron Fox will just not get it because he's a king.
True. Yeah, no, I agree.
It sucks.
The narrative thing is
maybe 2 years from now. Maybe 2 years from now, the Kings are a perennial playoff team.
Yeah,
get that.
They need to be around for a while. You're totally right, Frankie.
Yep. All right. Well, that's the awards.
It's all political. All these awards are so political.
All these awards have politics behind
I'm
them.
lobbying for the Kings.
Right. Let's do it.
I got a lot of money going towards the Kings.
RV all the way to
me too.
the league offices in New York. Right. No one's ever done that. Frank, I was very, very nervous to talk about this next topic, just because he had such a great game last night, and he's been playing really well as of late. But I have started to think about the Kings draft selection of one Keegan Murray.
I was wondering if you wanted this topic to come up because you're having second thoughts, and I'd love to hear what you have to say.
You would like to hear my second thoughts?
I'd like to hear if you're having second thoughts.
Yeah, I am having second thoughts about having the first thoughts that I had. You and I think me more so than you, but we're not. We were not thinking Keegan Murray was the right selection for this team when it happened. I think you and I both have been increasingly more optimistic since he got here. I think we feel a lot better now than we did then. I think if you would have asked us after Summer League, we would have absolutely been head over heels about Keegan Murray. If you would have asked us 2-3 games into the season, we still would have been incredibly happy with his struggles that he went through. And like I said, he's been playing a lot better recently, looks a lot more comfortable. His struggles really, really had me thinking. I think age is, and we'll get into it, but I think age is kind of where I'm starting to not. I think my second thoughts are not taking over. I think I'm still pretty firm, but I just don't know if right now is the right time to have this conversation. But nonetheless, we're gonna have it anyway because I wrote it down, and I do feel like it's still a good conversation to have, regardless of if my feelings are as strong now as they were then. If we haven't been clear enough, I'm talking about if the Kings were right to take Keegan Murray. Looking back at the picks before, after Keegan, and if we can already kind of if things are leaning a certain direction or not. Let's start off at the top. And I asked this question. I have it written at the end of the rundown here. Would any of these teams trade their player for Keegan Murray? Let's just go down the top 8, and we'll do that exercise.
Okay,
Would the Orlando Magic trade Paolo Banchero for Keegan Murray?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Chet Holmgren has not played a game so far this season.
TBD.
I don't think Oklahoma City would trade Chet Holmgren for Keegan Murray.
I'll say TBD, but I'd lean more no, they would not.
Would the Houston Rockets trade Jabari Smith Jr., who is 19 years old, for Keegan Murray? Let me read Jabari's. I have not been keeping up with Jabari. He has not been as loud as Paolo Banchero's numbers have been. Jabari, surprising to me, is averaging 12.2 points a game, 7.2 rebounds a game, and 1.3 blocks per game, 2.1 3-point makes per game, which is the exact same as Keegan Murray. He's shooting 38.5% from the field and 35.8% from three. So field goal numbers not there. 3-point numbers are about league average.
Personally, I would rather have Keegan. That's just me. I think that one's close. So I think if you were to poll executives, I think that someone's saying, why would they trade? These are hypotheticals, everybody. We're going through we're not talking. Hold on. If it wasn't clear, do not want the Kings to trade Keegan Murray. We are simply running through, would any of the teams that selected in the top 10 rather have Keegan Murray over their own draft pick? That's the
white elephant style, if you will.
Yeah, if it was a white elephant around the Christmas themed, okay.
Yeah.
Would the Houston Rockets say, okay, I'm gonna give you Jabari, I'm gonna hand you Jabari Smith Jr., I'm taking Keegan Murray from the Kings around the circle.
Exactly.
No, I think that I'd rather have Keegan Murray. I think Keegan Murray is someone I feel more confident in than Jabari Smith Jr.
This is going to be a common theme for me. I think age-wise, I think you look at Keegan Murray, who's 22 years old. Jabari Smith is 19 years old. Jabari's kind of already putting up better, if not similar numbers to Keegan. I think defensively, Jabari has a much higher ceiling than Keegan. I personally would rather have Jabari Smith.
Here we go. Here we go.
This is where the theme starts.
Here we go.
The fourth pick was Keegan Murray. I think the Kings would trade Keegan Murray for Keegan Murray. Absolutely 10 out of
10. Or Chris.
Yeah.
Chris Murray.
Could be. Soon to be. Jaden Ivey was the number 5th pick. This is where the controversy really starts. Jaden Ivey was a lot of fans' choice to be the selection. It was my choice to be the selection. Jaden Ivey is 20 years old. We saw him the other day in Detroit. I don't think that was a fair representation of Jaden Ivey's skills and abilities. Jaden Ivey is averaging 15 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal a game, shooting 40% from the field, 29.8% from 3. Jaden Ivey. Would the Detroit Pistons, not you, Frankie, would the Detroit Pistons trade Jaden Ivey for Keegan Murray?
No, only because I think he fits what they're trying to build more. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think the main reason why, I mean, again, you and I were sitting there on draft night, and I think we both wanted the Kings to take Jaden Ivey. But the Kings at that point, we did not know how the Sabonis situation was going to unfold. We didn't know he was going to be this good. We did not know that Monty McNair was going to go trade for Kevin Huerter. We did not know he was going to sign Malik Monk. They had no shooting guards. And I thought, hey, maybe this is a good time to try it in a different way. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton was a pass-first guard. Jaden Ivey, someone who can score the basketball. And that's kind of very similar to what De'Aaron Fox does already, which is why I've come around. I think that Keegan Murray is the perfect fit for this team. He plays his role very well. He doesn't need to go out there and be a star. He is someone who could be one down the line. We don't know. I mean, we don't know what he would look like if he would have gotten drafted to Detroit or to Orlando, and he was out there with a higher usage rate. Maybe he'd be a 20-point scorer. Mm-hmm. But for this team, with Domantas Sabonis, Harrison Barnes, Kevin Huerter, De'Aaron Fox, he is somebody that needs to be a knockdown threat, which he has been doing, and he's someone that needs to play average defense. His defense has looked better over the past couple of games. He even took a nice charge last night. So I think that to answer the question, I think that Detroit would hang on to Jaden Ivey for the reason they needed somebody. They needed a franchise guard. They have a couple bigs that looked pretty good last night. Some that obviously are waiting in the wings to take that next step. But no, I think that they probably would stand pat with what they have.
Number 6, Benedict Mathurin, who is 20 years old. I feel like I should also read Keegan's numbers at the moment. Keegan is averaging 11.9 points per game, 4 rebounds, 0.7 assists, 0.7 steals, 0.7 blocks, and is averaging 0.8 assists per game, shooting 42.9% from the field, 37% from 3. Benedict Mathurin, who is 20 years old, is averaging 17.8 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, 42% from the field, just under 36% from 3. Benedict Mathurin, I think absolutely not, right?
What would
they would much rather have Benedict Mathurin over
the Kings?
No, would Indiana trade Benedict?
Oh no. I mean, he's going to be rookie of the year. I mean, well, I don't know. Paolo Banchero's kind of. It's going to be interesting to see the Paolo versus Benedict conversation. I think right now, I think Benedict has a leg up personally, but that could change if Paolo has a big push. I mean, what is Paolo out this year? Paolo's got to be at what, like
Paolo's at 21 points per game, just under 7 rebounds and just under 4 assists.
Okay, well,
I think Paolo's in the lead at the moment, but yeah, you know, it is. Close. I definitely think it is close.
It's interesting because
not starting also.
So. Benedict's gotten a lot more of press to this point, which is very interesting to me. I mean, I've seen a lot more about Benedict Mathurin than Paolo, but
they're winning.
They are.
That could absolutely play a factor. I mean, if Indiana is going to be a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference and Orlando's 11 or 12 seed, like there's a good chance that Benedict Mathurin does get the nod if he's a more important player to his team, or not more important than Paolo is to his team. Paolo is the offensive centerpiece of the Magic, but if Mathurin has a real legitimate role, if he's the the second or third most important player on a 6 seed, I think he should absolutely deserve to get Rookie of the Year if that's the case.
I love the optimism in the chat, by the way. 85% say that the Kings organization, anyone in the Kings organization to win an award, 85% are saying yes, that a Kings player will win an award.
I mean, we went through it all. It's just they have such a good spread. They have someone in the Coach of the Year. They have someone. It's not that, oh yeah, like they have 2 people, but I'm really sure Malik Monk is going to win 6th Man of the Year. Like they have 4 or 5 guys who could win awards. I didn't even mention most improved player. I think, Kevin Huerter was absolutely on the track at the start of the year with him shooting 50% from 3, but there's a chance that Malik or Kevin Huerter could still win that most improved player of the year, even though, I feel like there's got to be obvious people. Oh, Anthony Simons is probably a leading person for that, but they have so many people who can win it. Shaedon Sharpe, number 7 pick, 19 years old, 8.3 points per game, 2 rebounds, 47% from the field, 20 minutes per game for Shaedon Sharpe. But it seems like, and he had another one last night, this fool just keeps producing highlights and just seems like he has absolutely ridiculous potential. Do you think Portland would trade Shaedon Sharpe for Keegan Murray?
Yes, I do think they would do that. Yeah.
You don't
think they would?
I don't think they would.
I think they would.
Shaedon Sharpe being 19 years old, he's an incredibly raw prospect. We saw, all the things he could potentially bring as a pro prospect, and I think he has shown all of it. He's shown that insane next level athlete leaping ability. He was 3 of 3 from 3 in their game earlier in the season in Sacramento. I think if you're Portland, like you got to be pretty damn excited about what you have there. I think, I don't think Keegan has shown too much extra stuff that you weren't expecting to see from him.
I think the window for Dame, I feel like might work better to have Keegan. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for the future and who's going to fill in down the line, I think that Shaedon Sharpe's a good player to have to replace Dame down the line.
All right. I was going to do Dyson Daniels, but I feel like that's not enough. I haven't watched too much Dyson Daniels. I just know that he has a role on the second best team in the Western Conference. The fact that he's playing 20 minutes per game and he's averaging 6, 3, and 2.5 on 50-40 from the field. I know he's a long, athletic defender. I feel like, the Vikings might score. I feel like might score. I feel like the Pelicans are totally fine with what.
Yeah, I agree on that. And then quick note, Minnesota defense has 1 point on my bench. Colts defense, 32 points. I am in shambles.
Sick, dude. That is so sick. It's definitely not fantasy playoffs either, is it?
It's not. It's definitely not fantasy playoffs. Definitely not fantasy playoffs. So put that over
real
there.
Quick exercise, if we can, we'll go through this one a lot faster. But vice versa, would the Kings trade for the other person? Would the Kings trade Keegan Murray? Would they exchange Keegan Murray for Paolo Banchero?
Of course, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Chet Holmgren.
I'm afraid injuries scare me. I mean, if I was, I don't know. I really don't know.
Jabari Smith Jr.
Personally, no.
I think that would be too long of a timeline. I think you're right. Jaden Ivey.
No. Doesn't fit. Doesn't fit.
With the team right now, you're completely right. Like if you have Jaden Ivey, you can't have Kevin Huerter. You can't have, you can probably have Malik Monk, but you can't have Kevin Huerter.
It's the same. It doesn't make sense. I mean, now it makes sense to me from draft night. I've changed my tone.
Sad to say, I do agree with you. I'd much rather have Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter over the future of what Jaden Ivey could.
And this version of De'Aaron Fox, because that was the whole point of the trade happened. Fox needs to be able to do himself.
Absolutely. You could have seen the same kind of regression that you saw with Tyrese Halliburton, or you could have seen De'Aaron have the same struggles that he had when he played with Tyrese Halliburton. Yep. Same kind of figuring out process. Benedict Mathurin. Do you think the Kings would swap Keegan Murray for Benedict Mathurin? Pretty much, he's more of a 3 than he is a 4. And you see the kind of production he's putting in.
Possibly, yeah. I think that's one that they probably would pull the trigger on that one. Yeah,
that's hindsight, of course, being 2020.
Yeah,
in Sharpe, there was a little bit of talk, and who knows how legitimate any of that was, that the Kings were interested in Shaedon Sharpe at the time. Do you think that there's any form of regret?
Wouldn't make sense again. I mean, the Kings don't need more guards right now. They need to figure out. Right now, they're trying to figure out Davion Mitchell. How does he fit long term? I mean, is he someone that's going to be their backup point guard for the next 3-4 years? I mean, I don't know. They have to figure that out too.
He scored a touchdown, Frank.
I wish it was defensive.
Does it count as a pass? Was it a pass? Anyway, sorry. That's not. They're still losing by 20.
We're laid back today. We're not on the airwaves. We're hanging out on YouTube with everybody.
Exactly.
Dyson Daniels, no.
Dyson Daniels, no.
Next.
Just wouldn't. I just think, yeah. I mean, so what I learned from this exercise, yeah, like maybe Keegan wasn't, Benedict Mathurin, hindsight again, being 2020.
Hold on a second.
Possibly.
Hold on a second. This crawled into your brain here because I want to know, are you confident in that Keegan Murray is going to be a strong pick for the Sacramento Kings? No. Today, are you confident he's going to be a strong pick for the Kings? No. In your gut, you don't feel like he's going to be a strong pick for you don't think he's going to pan out?
It's not that. It's just I am pretty confident that this might be one of those things that in 4 or 5 years we look back and we're like, oh, there's this person. Oh, there's Keegan Murray, and there's this person. I think that it could be one of those where the Kings look bad in 4 or 5 years because there's a bunch of superstars, and then not. It's just I have been both impressed and not unimpressed by Keegan, but just the flaws that I saw in college are still very apparent in the pros, and I don't see. You don't see it until you see it, but I don't think he's going to get better. Like he has no moves at the rim. Like when he is contested at the rim, he really doesn't have a Euro step, any sort of crafty. He's not crafty at the rim at all. It's very brunting, and he can develop that kind of thing, but I think that's kind of one of those things that you just have or you don't. Like we see Harrison has developed that slow Euro step. Maybe he can get something like that, but he's also 22 years old, which concerns me in terms of these other guys, in terms of where they're already at in their development and where Keegan is at. I have some, what I feel are very legitimate concerns.
Oh, sure. I mean, I think it's fair to feel that way. I mean, what he went through in November was tough to watch. I mean, it was very, he looked lost. But the fact that he's been able to turn around and pull himself out of it, past 10 games, 14 points per game, 47 from the field, 44 from 3 on 6.5 attempts per game, 87 from the line, 4 rebounds, nearly a block per game. I think the concerns are valid. I think that you need to be able to see more from him. And we're looking here in Mathurin. No, I thought I was going to look at Keegan Murray's usage rate in the comments. Never mind. But point is, Keegan Murray, we don't know what's going to happen with him. He, right now, for this team, he fits what they need. They need a lengthy forward who can play the 3 or the 4, who can be a threat from the perimeter. They have Sabonis down in the post. They have Fox run the show. Having a player like a Benedict Mathurin or a Paolo Banchero that would be putting up the flashy numbers and maybe look more confident while doing so and more polished, yeah, that'd be nicer. And yeah, Keegan Murray's 22 years old. That's a little bit of a concern. He had to, he doesn't have the luxury of being a 19-year-old and have 3 years to kind of work his way to that point. But that being said, I look at the fact that he's only played 26 games as a professional, and the fact that he is starting to figure things out as he's going. And yeah, will these last 10 games be what we see for the remainder of the season? We're going to find out. But I think what I've seen from him over the past couple of weeks has really shown that he has worked through a couple of things. He still does need to work on the fact that he has to learn how to go into the post and be strong at the rim. We don't, again, if Domantas Sabonis, I'm knocking on wood. All of you knock on wood too. If Domantas Sabonis and or De'Aaron Fox were to miss a long period of time, it would intrigue me because we might need to see Keegan Murray be more aggressive. We might need to see him play out of that 3rd, 4th option. He might need to take the ball and be what he was during Summer League, which was effective. Was he great off the dribble? Not really. That has to develop too. Some players can bring that part of their game out. Some can't. But I think what I'm trying to say is I think we need to see more from him. I think it's early to kind of come to like, and I'm not saying you've come to a conclusion at all. I know that you have. You're a free agent in this mindset. You can change.
I'm that guy who's like, who has the change my mind sign, where it's like, it's not Keegan Murray is a bust, change my mind. It's just like, I feel like, again, it's just, I feel there's something fundamentally wrong to me about using a top 10 pick on a role player, on a player that you are not planning on having superstar potential. And I think that it's fine. Like, it's fine with, maybe it's more acceptable, I should say, maybe with the Davion Mitchell pick that's later in the 8 or 9. That's a little bit more palatable. Even then, I didn't agree with the decision. But when you have the 4th pick in the draft, there's just so much talent that you're picking from that I understand, and I do. And, going through that exercise, it still does make sense for the Kings to go with the most ready now guy. But again, in 4, 6, 8 years, are we looking at this and being like, okay, they passed on, maybe not passed on 4, but there's a cluster of 4 to 5 superstars in this group. And the Kings, of course, managed to get the one role player of the group. That's my fear. And I guess the Kings aren't afraid of that because they're not really thinking that long term at the moment. But that's just a really big concern of mine.
No, it's a concern, but his role is going to grow. I mean, this is his rookie season, and he's played 26 games. I mean, Harrison Barnes is 30, so Harrison Barnes will not be a King in 8 years. I would think that's a pretty fair assumption. So Keegan Murray has the next. I mean, he's on rookie scale contract. He's under contract for a while, and the team could look a lot different in 2-3 years. Maybe the Kings lock in deals with Fox and Sabonis beyond their current contracts, and that bloats the payroll, and they have to kind of work what they have. Keegan Murray is somebody who will be under contract for 4 more years before he needs an extension. So he might be in a different role. Maybe he is the guy. Maybe he is that slashing scorer. Maybe he's like a 17, 18 point per game scorer. And the other side of it, maybe this is who he is the entire career. But again, we don't know. But the fact that I'm seeing him make these adjustments right now and the numbers in the season do not look bad at all. I mean, 12-4 on 43 and 37.
Yep.
I think I would have signed up for that. I mean, it's hard to expect more when you have all these talented players on this roster, which is a great problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you have Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk doing what they're doing, Harrison Barnes chips in here and there, then you have Fox and Sabonis doing what they do. I mean, it doesn't leave much room for Keegan Murray. Like someone in the chat said, I think Sato, sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but Keegan Murray, 17% usage rate. I mean, I'd imagine another place, 16.9. I'd imagine in other situations that goes way up. In Orlando, Detroit, Oklahoma City. So when you play for a winning team, this is what happens.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to express that, like, I do not think Keegan Murray is a bust. I don't think he's a bad player. I have concerns that he might not be as skilled. Like he can definitely shoot the hell out of the ball. He is a phenomenal catch and shoot guy. Creating his own shot is absolutely something he needs to work on. Creating for others, I don't think is ever going to be a part of his game, but that could be something he works on. His ball handling, his finishing. But my bigger concern is more just what can he do if he's not scoring? And I think he's been a decent rebounder at points this year, but and if he can be, learn more on the defensive end, I think that there is definitely potential on that end as well. But my concern is, again, just kind of the full round scoping of his game. I definitely think he'll be a very solid player for this Kings team. And I'm not saying it's even going to be a bad pick. It's just my concern is they didn't take a superstar when a superstar was available. And this league is a league of superstars.
What would it take for you to feel better? Like come All-Star break, what could change your mind to make you feel, oh, he's going to be good for this team?
Consistency and confidence, I think. I think, if he has been consistent these past 5, 6, 7 games, right? I think it was you shared what was the sample size of the game?
10 games, and he's averaging 14 for, I believe he's shooting 40. I have it right here. Sorry. 10 games, 14.3 points, 4 boards, 47 from the field, 44 from 3 on 6.3 attempts per night.
Yeah, I think, having that kind of consistency, going through rookie walls. Also, I noticed somebody put that the other rookies have gone through similar rookie walls as well. It was Sato as well. I completely agree, and that's going to happen. And Keegan bouncing back. This is a lot of these thoughts that I was having was mainly happening when Keegan was struggling, for sure, and I fully admit that. And as like I said at the top of this, I did not want to talk about this because he has played so well as of late. But it definitely crossed my mind. I mean, it was a thought that I had before the draft, and it was naturally going to seep back in when he was struggling. But I have been very impressed with how he's bounced back, and the fact that he bounced back and didn't get too deep in his head and just he really trusted his process through the entire thing. I don't think at any point he was shying away from shots. I think we saw him take some pretty bold shots even when he was struggling. Really just kept on shooting through it and eventually got through it. But it's going to be doing it. He doesn't have to do it every night because I don't expect him to be one of the greats in this league, but can he give us over 10 a night, on a given stretch of games. I think that's what I'm looking for Keegan, and confidence, where it's just like he has shown definitely at times he is not afraid to pull the trigger, but I want to see him really be aggressive and hunt his shots. I think there's been one game this year where I felt like he was really aggressively trying to get points, and it feels like he's still trying to get things in the flow of the offense, which is totally fine. Like, that's great for a rookie, especially, when he's finding these struggles. Like, work through it. Don't try and overextend yourself. But I think Keegan has shown the ability to be an absolute bucket and knock down some really tough shots. I want to see him have some confidence, have some swagger to him, and really feel like he has the ability to take advantage of people. He is bigger, he is stronger, he's older than a lot of rookies and younger guys in this league. Like, there's people he's going to go against that he has real advantages against. He was switched on Killian Hayes a couple times last night. I would have loved to see him take it at Killian Hayes every single time. Like, I just want to see that kind of growth and maturation out of Keegan, but that's only going to come with time. So it is I'm acknowledging it's very early.
He's a rookie, and that's one thing I'm seeing a lot of people say in the comments too. And yeah, we feel the same way. He is a rookie, and it's going to take some time to see what he really has in the tank. And games like last night have me feeling very confident in him. The Kings needed somebody to step up and change the tone of the game, and he scored 8 points in the opening couple minutes there of the third quarter, and the Kings went on a run. They never looked back, and Keegan Murray was a huge part of that. Finishes 7-13 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, 20 points over 35 minutes. I mean, yeah, that's a great night for the rookie right there, and it's going to take some time. And yeah, exactly, Alex, let the kid learn and grow. That's what he's doing. And you're playing for a team, and that's what he said a couple weeks ago at practice. He's like, Mike says that I'm being treated as a vet because this is not a bottom feeding team. This is a team that has playoff aspirations, and he's being treated like a veteran that is a role player, and he's not being treated like a prize rookie that's being brought along. So it's a different spot for a rookie to be in. It's a great spot for the Kings to be in because we're talking about them playing postseason basketball. And yeah, I mean, I see a comment too saying Keegan needs to jam it more from Xavier. Yeah, that's right. Mike Brown said, go dunk on somebody. Right. And he has the ability to do that. I saw it in college. And right now he needs to he's kind of trying to adjust his body midair and find other ways to the basket. But I mean, just go right at him. Like, let it out. Let's see it. Let's see the full athleticism like that he has in the tank. I know he does. So.
No, absolutely. And I do have high hopes for him. And I think that this team, he has a very clear role on this team that he can fill. And that is being a big man who can shoot and still play defense and be switchable on defense and guard athletic wings. And he's shown, I think I did see it in the comments here. He has shown a lot of positive, and the negatives haven't been very loud, except for him when he was missing shots. But he has been really good this season at points, and like has really had me feeling more positive about him than negative about him. It's just, again, I see the success of very young, athletic players that were selected around him. And it just had me thinking, Jaden Ivey in 2-3 years, the body that he's going to have on him, him and Cade Cunningham are going to be a backcourt of the future they're going to be a problem for a while. So just a thought experiment.
Keegan could be the star in between Fox and Sabonis. We never know.
He definitely could. And, there was, again, if you would have asked me after the second game of the season, after the summer league he had, after the Cal Classic, after the preseason he had, I would have said that by the end of the year, Keegan Murray was more than likely going to be the third best player on the team. He has shown that kind of ability so far, or, at early points in this season.
He had a great start to the season. He had a great opening week or week and a half, and then he had a rough middle, and now he's back playing. I mean, if you cut out that middle portion of the season, just that rough, like post-Halloween to Thanksgiving, I mean, he's been playing good basketball more than not this year. So I feel like he's going to run. I'm feeling good about Keegan. And I think that if this team's gonna be successful, he needs to be what he's doing, like exactly what he's doing right now. Like, if he can do that, the Kings are gonna be fine.
Yep. All right, Frank, we've been on here for an hour. Let's wrap this thing up how we do every single time on Kings Weekly with a look ahead at the following week in Kings basketball. They've got an easy one like we talked about earlier in this episode. On Monday, they play the Charlotte Hornets, who are 7-21. I have not seen the updated standings, so let me make sure that's still right. I wrote this rundown yesterday, so I need to make sure that is still correct. The Charlotte Hornets are 7-22. Add another L to that. They're 7-22. They play them on Monday at home. The last time they played Charlotte was on October 31st. The Kings won 115-108. If you'll remember, that game was a little bit more of a struggle than the Kings would have liked, especially with no LaMelo Ball. LaMelo is presumably going to be back. He has came back from his, I believe it was a wrist injury, or it might have been something else, but no, it was his ankle. Mm-hmm. He came back from that injury, so the only reason he would miss would just be for general health management. LaMelo is from my knowledge, expected to go in that one on Wednesday. It's those hated mofos from SoCal, Los Angeles Lakers, 12-16 on the year. They got a big win last night against the Denver Nuggets. Anthony Davis did get hurt in that one, so he might not be able to go on Wednesday. The Lakers play 2 games before that, so we'll know AD's status heading into that one. Frank, you already know AD's coming back against the Kings because that's just what happened. Right? For
sure. But even if he is playing, I mean, I feel confident the Kings already beat the Lakers once this season with AD and LeBron playing. I am not afraid of the Los Angeles Lakers. If anyone's listened to our podcast, I mean, I know I grew up. No, I have not been big on the Lakers. I've not been positive about the Lakers the past 2 years. I mean, opening week last year, I said they're not making the playoffs.
And then on Friday, sorry to cut you off, the Sacramento Kings will play another very much struggling team. They will play the Washington Wizards, who are 11-18 on the season. Started off the season really well and have been in an absolute tailspin. They have lost. They are 1-11 in their last 12 games for the Wizards. So not playing their best basketball at the moment, to say the least. Frank, this feels like an incredibly easy week of Kings basketball, does it not? Is it? Are we comfortable enough to say that?
It does feel good. It feels like they have 3 games in a row that they should win all of them. I mean, these are teams the Kings are better than all 3 of these teams on paper. They're better than all of them. But will they play down to the competition is like the biggest problem. Like last night in the first half, that was the question of the Kings playing down to their competition in Detroit. Detroit is one of the worst teams in the league. The worst defensive team in the league, or second worst defensive team in the league. So you're playing Charlotte, who I know that Gordon Hayward's back. I know that LaMelo Ball is back, but you're back on your home floor. The Kings have been so good at home this year. Bring the hammer down. And I'm going to be greedy. I want 3-0. I want a 3-0 week.
Same. Game of the week I have as the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, it's just always fun when the Lakers are in town. This might be the first time in a while that I'm hoping it's not going to be a 50-50 split in the crowd. Typically it's 50-50, hopefully Kings Lakers, usually leaning a lot more Laker fans than Kings fans.
It was bad last year. It was bad.
It was like 70-30.
70-30 was the number I had too. It was the worst I've ever seen it.
Yeah. This year I expect it to be a little more even with the success of the Kings. It really doesn't matter if the Lakers are good or bad. Their fans are going to show up and be annoying anyway. So I definitely expect big fireworks in that one. AD, as I mentioned, did go down last night against the Nuggets, but if he does play, he has been on an absolute tear going into last night. He had averaged 40 points, 13.2 rebounds, 2 blocks in the month of December. If you take out the Cleveland game where he came out with injury. 40 points, 13 rebounds. We think Domantas Sabonis is putting up numbers. Anthony Davis has been on a different level right now. The Kings probably have no answer for him, as we've saw in the preseason. Not looking forward to if Anthony Davis plays in that one. The Kings last time they played the Lakers in Los Angeles, the Lakers did not have LeBron James in that one, and it was a very, very close game. Took De'Aaron Fox being that guy down the stretch of that game. Another clutch performance from De'Aaron Fox in that one. That was kind of the only reason why they won it. Honestly, it was a very ugly game. Neither team, or the Kings specifically, couldn't hit anything. And the Kings barely pulled it out in that one. Frank, you have any thoughts on that Laker game on Wednesday?
I mean, it's the one that I want the most. I always love it when the Kings beat the Lakers, especially at home. Pack Golden One Center. I know the tickets might be a little expensive, but if there's any affordable deals out there, pack Golden One Center. I would love to see a more like Kings-based crowd. Like, I don't love the 70-30 or 60-40 Lakers split.
Right.
Don't love seeing the yellow in the crowd. I know that's the LeBron effect. I think it's more the LeBron effect than anything now. It really wasn't like that the first couple years that I was around when LeBron was with Cleveland. So pack Golden One Center. Let's have a great homestand. 6 straight at home. I mean, that's the perfect way to follow up a road trip. And my last thought is the Kings have a real chance here to hit 20 wins before the end of the calendar year. And can you imagine just how great that would be to be at 20 wins before we even get to New Year's? Like,
insane.
It's a very realistic possibility. So it's good times, man. It's good times.
It's the best. Dare I say it's the best times that we've had in a very, very long time. I have a similar top storyline as what you mentioned before. I think it's just like taking care of business. I think that this is a week where not only should the Kings win all of their games, but they should really have an opportunity to show out in all of these and kind of put themselves back on the national radar and, you know, be like, no, like we're legit. We just beat up on Charlotte, who's the 25th best defense in terms of defensive rating. Lakers are honestly a pretty good defense, 13th in defensive rating. Washington is 24th in defensive rating. And then the following week, they have a back-to-back against Denver. Denver is 28th in defensive rating. So if the Kings are going to get back to their, you know, dominant ways on offense, it's going to be this week at home, where, as I mentioned earlier, they average 123 points per game in Golden One Center. That's an astronomical number. I believe that would be the highest point total per game in the league. I expect them to really, really show out this week, and I can't lie. If there's, I expect maybe one close game, just because it is tough to beat up everybody every night. But I expect at least 1 or 2 blowouts from this homestand. Do you feel similar?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think that it'd be a crime if that doesn't happen. I think that means they need to make a statement. I mean, this is the time to make a statement. You get through a tough road trip, 6 games, 2 weeks, you split it. You come home in the 5th spot in the Western Conference, opening up a 6-game homestand with the Lakers involved. It's Christmas time. Got families coming out to the arena. It's setting it up for the perfect statement for the Kings to show, hey, we're not going to go away and be an early season feel-good story. We're going to be here the whole year. So, you know, and that's the thing about the wins. You know, when you have them in the tank, you got them in the tank. 20 wins before the new year, that puts you in a very good spot when the schedule gets tough. And it's going to get tougher down the stretch of in the spring here. There's a rough couple of games. Another 5-game road trip, I think, or 6-game road trip. I'm sorry, 7-game road trip in February, late January into February. That's a tough one. But you need to set yourself up where you can have a little bit of wiggle room. And if you do hit that rough stretch, and that's exactly what this kind of homestand means. You can go out there and maybe push it to the most above 500 you've been since the playoff drought. I think they haven't been above 5 games. 5 games over 500 since 2006, I think.
Who knows? I was going to say that would definitely have to be playoff times. And then, you know, every week we do a matchup to watch. Instead of doing a matchup to watch for this week, I thought I would revisit last week's matchup to watch, or last episode's matchup to watch, which was Domantas Sabonis, who was going against this incredibly tough slate of big men on the road trip. Had to go against Clippers before the road trip began, go against Zubac. He put up 24, 5, and 6 on 10 of 11 from the field in like 25 minutes. Against Chicago, Nikola Vucevic, another great big who's got incredible size. What did Domantas do? Just put up his first triple-double of the season on 2 of 4 from the field, only 4 shots taken, 11 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists. And then, of course, going against 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidates in Brook Lopez, Giannis Antetokounmpo. What does he do? 23 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 of 11 from the field. You're like, he can't do it again. I mean, De'Aaron Fox isn't playing against Cleveland. There's, he's got to go against Allen and Mobley. What does he do? 18 points, 18 rebounds, 6 assists. Absolutely shows up in that one. The Knicks was an incredibly tough game. Absolutely nobody could hit anything. What does Domantas Sabonis do? Oh, he's like, I'm still going to put up 20 points, 12 rebounds on 7 of 10. Philadelphia goes against Joel Embiid, the biggest guy in the league, most dominant center we have. What does he do? 22, 10, and 5, 8 of 10 from the field. Toronto, incredible length all around the roster. What does he do? 21 points, 20 rebounds, 7 assists on 10 of 13 shooting. Just Domantas Sabonis, Frank. Why have we been so blessed to have such a great player? Can you just speak on the week that he or on the couple of weeks that he had, the road trip, and just how dominant he's been?
It reminds me of when DeMarcus Cousins was playing the best. That I think it was 2015-16, where his numbers. If you look at his game log on Basketball Reference, it's like if you were to create a player on 2K and just go off every night, and you look at your game logs, and a lot of double-digit numbers in there for Sabonis, and it looks very video game-esque, and it's very, very fun to watch. And it's in a different way. It's not like with DeMarcus, where the Kings are feeding him in the post and clearing out and letting him just kind of go to work and all post opportunities. He is making so many exciting things happen by his flashy playmaking, his touch around the rim, and the fact that he can rebound against some of the best bigs in the NBA, and he's very, very physical. He's coming to his own, and he's playing the best basketball of his career. He, to me, should be an all-star. I think that I don't want to say guaranteed, but I don't know how you hold him out of the all-star game right now when he's been the driving force behind this Kings team success. So I'm all in. I'm all in on the Domantas Sabonis all-star 2022 campaign, 2023. I can't believe it's 2023.
Realize this. I'm playing you off.
Can you believe it's 2023? Still processing 2020, man.
Right. Who knew? The years have just absolutely skipped by since 2020. It's you know what? Are you like this too? It takes me the first 4 months of the year, finally start writing the correct year. When you write, it's 122, I'd write 122-22.
When I was in school, when I was in school, it was the toughest thing. When I was growing up, you would write on all your papers. The whole year I'd get it wrong. And then by around October, I'd be like, oh yeah. What? Gotta do it again?
I don't want to think about school right now. MLA
Merry Christmas.
Got me really
Merry
really...
Merry Christmas.
Normally we do predictions to end the show. We kind of already gave that out. 3-0 for the week. We both expect it. Merry Christmas to all of you. I'm not sure if we're going to be on next week with it being Christmas Eve. And then the following week after that is actually New Year's Eve as well. So might not be a show until next year.
We'll do a podcast.
Sure. Yeah, we'll definitely do a podcast. Check me and Frankie out. We host the Return of the Roar podcast on SackDown Sports 1140. We also go live once a week. That will continue presumably through the holiday season. Please be sure to look out for that. Please do not watch the Minnesota Vikings right now, who are losing 36-14. Hey, they're driving though. I'm gonna go cry now.
Me too.
Big week of Kings basketball coming up ahead. Can they make it to 19-12? Will the beam be lit? Vivek claims that they made the beam stronger now, so hopefully people can see it out in Rockland and Roseville and Folsom and all those places. I live in that park, and I've struggled to find the beam, so I'm not positive that Vivek is telling the truth. We're going to see that beam lit a couple more times this week. For Frankie Cardicelli, my name is Chris Watkins. Thank you all so much for joining us. Happy Saturday. Merry Christmas. Go Vikings.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Skol.
Go Kings.
Go Kings. Go Kings.
Light the beam.